Good day, beautiful souls. I hope you are having a good day. It's Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, and it's time to vibe with the tribe and feed that there prediction addiction. As we are experiencing once again super intense energies flying right into planet Earth, affecting all of us in many different ways. Some even experiencing what is referred to as ascension sickness symptoms. Could you be one of them? We'll go over that today. And over the past week, we also witnessed another massive blackout. This time it was in Bali, Indonesia. Bali, Indonesia, leaving the folks in Bali completely stranded in darkness. This is getting a little crazy, friends. With the amount of power outages, grids going completely down without explanation. Or at least they're not telling us. Spirit warned, though. Warned us for a few years now that massive power outages were coming and that we needed to be prepared. So who could actually be next when it comes to these power outages? Not to mention that there's this strange activity of flashing lights being reported all over this country. I want to know if it's happening in your country as well. Strange activities, of course, continue in our skies. And remember that Mountain Dew symbolism? Like pitch dark or Bali midnight? There's a few of them. I'll remind you today about that. And speaking of outages, Spirit warned of banking outages and other things and recommended that we always keep cash on hand for, any kind of emergency. Here in the States, New York to be exact, Citibank over the past week reported a massive outage causing panic amongst their bankers and their clients because they were unable to access their accounts for their funds. What's going on here, friends? The Newark Airport was out for 90 seconds, causing panic at Newark Airport. What if that would have lasted longer? Should we be concerned? What really is actually happening here? It can't all be cyber attacks, and it can't all be Earth-related. Could it be a combination of both? Shelves are beginning to go empty here in the United States, and folks still are really not aware of the massive amount of goods that are no longer flowing into our ports. The ports are quiet, with little to no activity at all. High tariffs, more folks struggling, and now Spirit's warning us to stock up and, continues to warn us. But Spirit warned us a long time ago to start stocking up, and this seems more plausible now than ever. How long is this going to last, and will these tariffs change things for the better? And will these tariffs ever go away? Sean Combs is about to go on trial, but Spirit says so much more truth, much darker, much more disturbing, will come into the light in the coming months. Some related to this case, but others not related to this case. There's going to be new arrests and truths being revealed as Hollywood continues to crumble. So will Combs be sentenced to prison? He should be. But there again, OJ got off and he should have been, but he was set free. So what's going to be the outcome? We have tensions between Pakistan and India. Is that going to escalate? For sure it is. Russia's not backing down. And Israel's back on their destructive mission and claims of taking over the strip. Crazy times indeed, friends. And we only just stepped into the month of May. So we're going to discuss today these incoming energies and coming alignments over the next week and how they're going to affect things, along with lots of new predictions to feed your prediction addiction on this episode, number 165 of Tuesday's Prediction Update. Get that tea kettle ready, friends. Get it hot, because y'all know what time it is. It's Tittle tea time, baby. Just as Spirit has warned us for the beginning of 2025 in my 2025 forecast, the intense energies, light codes blasting off the sun's surface, and ascension symptoms have been kicking in big time, friends, over the past week, with strange energies throwing off the Schumann resonance, like throwing it off the charts over the weekend, but without any explanation. That was a bit strange. No explanation at all. Could this be responsible for the strange power outages? And more so, the strange flickering lights that are happening all over the globe? And if you're not familiar with the strange lights, Mr. MB333, I believe it is, did some videos on that. Go check them out. Because I was going to show you some of it, but I'd rather you just go see his videos. He did it very thoroughly. Reports all over the country, maybe all over the world. The Earth is definitely waking up to a new level and a new vibration, which is affecting every species upon our planet. This is a huge part of the powerful ascension of humanity to these unbelievable, amazing levels. I know it might not feel that way now, but we are definitely heading in an amazing direction. And you are going to notice in the coming weeks and in the coming months, these sudden changes that you decide to make to your daily routines. You're going to become more aware of what you're putting into your body. And Spirit tells us of the utmost importance. It is of the utmost importance that we focus on good health changes. Body, mind, and spirit, friends. Body, mind, and spirit. The ascension coming in May is going to have us looking and seeing things that we have been so blinded to in the past. Some of us are pretty wide awake to what's been happening, but not for long. Those that are still asleep, there's so much more to come out, friends. Folks are going to become more and more fed up with the current systems, government controls. We are all going to be faced with some very strong decisions in the future, strong decisions that are going to have to be made. Those decisions, they're going to decide our fate. Stay on the old earth vibration or shift onto the new earth vibration. I know where I'm going, friends. I hope you join me. Now, you're going to notice, and likely you have noticed in the past few days, that you may have been more tired than usual. Once again, your dreams are being intensified, really intensified. And maybe you're having issues getting some restful sleep over the past weekend. And if that is you, Spirit would like to recommend that you either choose some chamomile or some blue lotus tea to help ensure a more restful sleep. At the same time, you are going to be having sudden epiphanies about yourself, sudden awakenings about your own self, your life, your relationships, and the world's bigger picture. And this is the slow steps that we are taking in this greatest awakening of all. And of course, a big part of this is doing the work on ourselves, something many people are so resistant to doing. Being ensured that you are also staying hydrated in this process. Notice you've been more thirsty than usual over the past week? Now, I know I have, but that's only because I had food poisoning. Awful experience. So ground your energy, stay well hydrated in the coming weeks, and step out of your comfort zones and into Mother Nature's beauty. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's spring here, so get outside. And even in the Southern Hemisphere, it's fall. It's beautiful in the fall. No excuse to not go out and wander around with Mother Nature, wander around the forest, walk along the river, walk along the creek, the lake, and pay very close attention to the signs that are always coming to us from nature. Allies, as we call it in shamanic journey work. Allies come from the planet or from the animal, plant, and insect kingdoms. Anything that crosses your path or that's in your pathway is an ally trying to give you a message that can help you in your journey. Now, Spirit ensures that a much larger, much more amazing light is going to come to humanity and the planet Earth. This is going to have humanity looking back, and you're going to remember exactly where you were and when this all occurred. Kind of like back, well, Americans anyway, back in 2001, September. I knew exactly where I was when I heard the news. Well, you're going to know exactly where you are and what you're doing when these flashes come upon our planet. Not only just these flashes, but there's other events that are going to take place not far off in the very near future. First, there's going to be several shocking catastrophic events that I believe are going to play out, as I've been predicting since 2023, actually. June into July, mainly the month of July. And that the whole world is going to be in this shock factor. And remembering, again, exactly where you were and what you were doing when these big stories break out. Big stories, huge. And this is a part of the greater awakening, friends. But the greatest awakening of all is when the divine creator sends flashes of light sweeping across the planet that instantly flash humanity into this absolute greatest awakenings of all awakenings. The first of its kind in the entire universe, according to the spirits. And it is going to be as if humans transcend from the physical realm into ethereal realms, spiritual realms. And Spirit said to me that, remember, it is the light that actually holds all the truth and wisdom. November, Spirit tells me, is going to be especially exciting when it comes to our ascension and flashes of a light awakening many souls in the month of November. Something else to look forward to. And in order for humanity to ascend, we must be aware that we're going to have these great shakeups. Great shakeups and disturbing truth to snap folks into reality. That the old Earth structures no longer serve our highest potential. Or that the entire planet has to shift. It has to. And it is shifting. And the bigger shifts, friends, they're here. And even bigger shifts are on their way. This week, as far as incoming alignments and how they also reflect on the coming events and coming predictions. Starting with May 2nd, the planet of love and creativity, Venus, joins mystical Neptune in the bold sign of Aries, our fellow airheads. Just kidding, Aries, just kidding. I'm surrounded by Aries. Surrounded, the gypsies of the zodiac. This rare alignment is going to blend Venus's passion with Neptune's dreams in the Aries fiery arena, creating this magical mix of inspiration, idealism, and taking the initiative. A great time to take initiative, friends. This alignment is strongly telling all of us to dream big while also ensuring that we remain grounded. The Spirit, if you watch every week, watch the forecast, Spirit has been frequently telling us that all year long. Keep yourself grounded. Walk around barefoot. Not in your house if your house has got a foundation that's not connected to the earth close enough. Walk outside barefoot. Go put your hands in the dirt. Go garden. It's my favorite time of year is to play in the dirt. But it's really important because it's a magical time for all of us to channel your creativity, to let your imagination run wild. And when we're grounded and connected with nature, it helps us to focus more on using and utilizing our creativity imaginations. And this is a time to literally stop daydreaming, friends. Stop daydreaming about a better world and instead get out and take some action, some compassionate action. Whether it's in your own life or on a global scale, whatever works for you and whatever your heart pulls you to do. Set some healthy boundaries. And of course, follow your heart always and always. Follow your intuition. On a global scale, this alignment is going to really bring in maybe some little bursts to the economy, little ups. Remember, Spirit said, roller coaster ride this year in the economy. Big ups, big downs. But I see little ones this time. It's kind of like you get down the bottom of the roller coaster hill and then you go over those little hills. It's kind of what it's like. It's the way Spirit shows it to me anyway. And it's going to be very temporary. This energy will have more folks asking more questions around big institutions as well, like colleges or corporate level companies, other education systems and institutions, and of course, many of the corrupt government institutions. All this is coming to the light in this month, friends. And again, it's still just the beginning. And this will also have a negative economic impact, unfortunately, on the entertainment industry, especially. That DT just put tariffs and still hasn't explained them on Hollywood movies filmed outside the country. That just adds into the fall of Hollywood, along with the corruption that'll be coming out of there soon, later on in today's predictions. And we're likely going to hear big losses coming out of Hollywood, Disney Corporation, and other big entertainment companies and corporations in the coming months and by the year end. So if you're invested in any kind of entertainment company, you might want to pull out. Not a financial expert, but if I wouldn't be putting my money in there after Spirit pointed to that industry. Thought-provoking fact here that Neptune last entered Aries in 1861. Major global events preceded, starting with the Civil War here in the United States. The Italian unification. The Kingdom of Italy proclaimed. Queen Victoria became widowed after Prince Albert passed away in December of that year. And does that mean that maybe King Charles is going to pass away? Just a thought. By year end. because it is the end of the oligarchs and the royals, basically. Not just the royal family in England, but the royals all over the globe. And perhaps King Charles will pass by the end of the year. And is the United States heading into another conflict? Does this alignment happen during the Civil War? Well, the way things are going right now, it's kind of looking a bit inevitable that they're going to drag us into something we don't want to go to. Now, global journalism and propaganda rose to new highs back when this alignment happened in 1861. And it appears this could actually be happening now. But now in the digital world fashion. The digital world, they put all kinds of crap on social media, including the three-letter agency. The 1860s were basically wars that were fought on ideals. And this brought about a slow erosion and end of many monarchies and old regimes taking rise to this hero worship and cults of personality. And you heard that in my forecast for the year, and I think we talked about it last week or the week before, that we're going to see these major cults rising up. I made predictions around that. I showed you that crazy guy that they're calling the anti-Jesus. It's happening. We only just stepped into it at the end of 2023. So, interesting. Wild times indeed. We're going to see new cults rising up, as I predicted again in my 2025 forecast as well. And I showed you one last week, as I stated. And we will see the royal family slowly eroding. They already are. And soon we are going to bloom into a whole new, completely different world. It's ahead of us by the time we get into those 2030s. I just go back to what Spirit told me when I was a young little ankle biter, when I was told 2032, the new Earth. And I remember hearing that and being like, why? I had to add it up in my head. Will I be alive then? I certainly hope I will be. I plan to be. Now, on Sunday, May 4th, we have Pluto, the planet of transformation, went retrograde in Aquarius. I got Aries on the brain. Aquarius. And this is a true global revolution, friends, that will have us rethinking global structures. It'll bring about more tech innovations and social changes. And it's all about decentralization. The falling apart of these centralized banking systems, centralized governments, and so forth. Decentralization, that needs to happen. Now, this alignment is really kind of exciting in the aspect that it encourages individualism and authenticity. It's all about inspiring the collective awakening, something we all need, the collective awakening. And it's going to help to strip away the conditioning and the programming that we have undergone while urging us all to align with our core values and beliefs. Important. And we'll see this start. Spirit's just telling me this in my ear with the younger generations, where they start to shift and they start to look at more of these, values, core values, beliefs, and strip away the conditioning and programming that they have been programmed into through the education systems and through the media and so forth. Wild. Now, no, during Pluto's previous transit into Aquarius was 1777 to 1798. The world witnessed monumental events like the drafting of the U.S. Constitution and the French Revolution. These periods were marked by radical shifts towards democratic ideals and the questioning of these monarchical authorities. Stopping the monarchs needs to happen again. And it is, because we have that alignment, drawing these parallels. The current transit may similarly catalyze these movements that challenge the existing power structures and advocate for progressive reforms. This is going to also, again, especially as we approach the summer months, bring about protest on like anything we've seen and since probably the 1960s here in the States, but protests globally. And coming up the day after Mother's Day, which falls here in the United States on Sunday the 11th, here in the States. Happy Mother's Day to all you good moms out there. Happy Mother's Day to my mama in the heavens. May 12th, day after Mother's Day. The powerful and unforgettable full moon in the emotional Scorpio is going to ring in, marking the full moon making this the most intense full moon of 2025. At least so far. Maybe overall for the whole year. And this is when the energies are going to really hit full throttle, friends. And it's going to call for the strong emotional release. You know, Scorpios are emotional and temperamental. So, folks, watch your anger. Breathe deep. Breathe deep. The gathering blue. Watch lights fade from the heavy winds. I don't know where that just came from. Nights in white satin. But yeah, breathe deep. Take some exercises. Do a count. But don't be temperamental. It's an emotional release, but not necessarily in a temperamental way. And if you're going to, go find a punching bag, go run, go do something, and channel that energy into something positive. But it's a strong emotional release, while also at the same time, it's going to bring about more spiritual awakenings. Now, this full moon coming up this weekend is bound to bring and reveal so many truths. Just in its 14-day waning moon cycle that starts on the 12th. So, you know, the waning cycles from the full moon to the new moon. The waxing cycles from the new moon to the full moon. So we are currently still in the waxing cycle. But as of the 12th, we step into the waning. And whether they be, you know, a lot of these truths are going to be again revealed. And some of these will be your own hidden truths. Truths around other people. And more so, the truth of the corruption and evil that's been hiding right in front of our faces in plain sight. I love good drama when truth comes about, especially all these things you're called conspiracy theorists for, and then it becomes a reality. I just love that, because I mean, I've been called that hundreds of times in my career, but so far so good. So far they're all coming into fruition, and there are still people that believe that the things in the skies is a conspiracy, even though Robert Kennedy just talked about it. So it's really interesting. Going back to the full moon, we're going to see people's emotions running wild, especially coming in over this weekend. It'll probably start around Friday, actually. Usually the full moon energy kicks in about 3 days before. It gets intense. So around the 9th, it should be getting really intense. I think the 9th is Friday. And this is going to bring about a huge increase when it comes to road rage incidents, even boat rage incidents. And Spirit tells me to keep our eyes on the oceans. Therefore, I would expect there to be some type of strange ocean activity, and perhaps we will see or hear some type of tsunami or rogue wave events coming in the next few weeks. And sadly, we all know how folks may react when it comes to emotional overloads, which is what this moon's going to bring. So therefore, unfortunately, we will likely see a rise in pow-pow type of events, mass pow-pow events, and perhaps a shooting taking place at some type of a concert or outdoor event. And I also feel, as I stated in my May forecast and predictions, that we are going to see a major uptick in earthquakes and volcanic activity between the 10th and the 14th of this month. So maybe even the 9th, being the full moon energy is going to kick in on that day. But originally I said the 10th to the 14th, so we'll stick with that. A strong influence from this incoming full moon. And I feel that we may see the biggest of the quakes so far in 2025 in that window of time. Perhaps the biggest of 2025. And that may actually happen, big, massive earthquake on May 11th. Whether it's May 11th, the United States, or May 11th on the other side of the world, but May 11th, a date to watch for major earthquake. Now, you may find yourself confronting a lot of past traumas when this full moon kicks in, reassessing your relationships, or making significant, big life decisions. It's a very potent time to seek therapy, coaching, life coaching, do some journaling, other forms of introspection that will help you guide you through this full moon energy. And additionally, Mercury in Taurus is going to form this challenging square with Pluto and Aquarius on the same day, suggesting that there's going to be these potential strong power struggles, intense communications, and again, an unveiling of secrets. And this aspect may lead to confrontations or revelations that challenge these existing beliefs and structures. So friends, the May mayhem has begun. Beautiful tribe, I just want to take a moment to welcome you back to the channel. Welcome you to my channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, a spiritual medium, aka Spiritman JT. If you're new here, you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, and you want to vibe with our awesome tribe, then be sure to smash that there subscribe, the bell, and all so that you get notifications. And know that you can catch me every week, usually on Tuesdays. Sometimes during Mercury retrograde, it ends up being Wednesday, but the goal is always Tuesdays, here on the United States ground anyway. Wednesdays for our friends on the other side of the planet. But every week, if I don't pop up in your notifications, go directly to my channel. Down below in the description, you'll find the links to all my social media, including my newsletter, which I have not put out yet in May, unfortunately, because last Tuesday after the show, I ate myself what was my favorite aged ribeye steak, which I will never buy again, from Whole Paychecks. And 6.5 hours later, about 12:30 a.m., yeah, you get the deal. It was awful. And even yesterday, Monday, I was still not right. My stomach's still not right today. But man, that was awful. Awful experience. Wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I will get that newsletter out, hopefully before this airs. After I'm done editing, I'm going to work on the newsletter. But sign up down below. Open up the newsletter. Go to the top corner. Sign up there. Not on the website, but on the newsletter itself. And when you do, you will get a confirmation email. You must confirm. Check your spam folder. And then put the newsletter address in your contacts to ensure that you get that newsletter. Please do not email my office asking to be added to the list. You have to do it yourself. I cannot add you to the list because you get the confirmation email and so forth. And also, you'll find me on all my other social media platforms down below. And be aware of fraudsters when it comes to platforms, especially TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Or any where you may receive a message that appears to be me. It's not me, friends. They are scammers. They are fraudsters that steal my videos, steal my pictures, create fake profiles, and message you. I do not have time, and I will never message anybody outside of my website, which is josephtittel.com, Tittel, or spiritmanjt.com. So check that out, and let's move on to episode 165 of Teatime, baby. Over the past week, we witnessed yet another massive, strange blackout, this time happening in Bali, Indonesia, leaving folks in Bali completely stranded in darkness. As you see here in the article, they're blaming the cause on subsea cables, which is very, very possible, actually. Was it sabotage? Could have well been. Could have well been. Just saying. But I doubt it because it could be, but I do not feel that it was a cyber attack, actually. So I believe this is linked to likely the strange phenomenon that's occurring across the globe. From strange blinking lights to this crazy, sudden, unexplained jump in the Schumann resonance over the past weekend that was just crazy. Now, there was sunspots facing the Earth. There are now currently, but there were no sun flares that would cause all that to go crazy the way it did or anything else. So that was a little unexplainable. Could make a good explanation of what happened in Bali, though. There was also this terrifying 90-second blackout of air control in Newark, New Jersey's airport. Been there many times. It's a crazy airport. Bad vibes, bad vibes. And that occurred on April 28th. Now, I'm mad. Well, no, wait. Was it April 28th or did it just happen? Regardless, it happened in the past week. Now, imagine if that 90 seconds was more like 90 minutes and not seconds. Planes would have nowhere to land, nowhere to go. And their particular incident, I have no doubt is cyber attack related. No doubt. And I feel that it's a test. Just like I felt with the other blackouts that happened in parts of Europe a few weeks back. The globalists are testing their ability to plunge us into darkness. That's how they're going to reset everything. Turn everything down and then push a button and turn it all back on digitally. That's what they want to do. We can hold in the light that doesn't happen. But they're pushing it. And this is getting really crazy with the amount of power outages, grids going completely down without explanation, or at least they haven't given us one. And Spirit warned us for a few years that massive power outages were coming. Are you prepared? Are you prepared at all? Because I'm going to tell you, I saved my nickels and dimes, got myself a little generator. Not the gas kind, the solar kind. It's funny, people debate in the comments, oh, but what if there's no light? Well, as long as my car runs, I can plug it right into my car and charge it up. No big deal. I'm not worried about it. I don't feel like it's going to be super long term. And, if the internet and all is down, what do you need? All you need is lights. Keep your refrigerator going. That's about it. Keep your food cold. That's the reason I got it. Is so my food stays good. That was the main reason. And then also because we get blackouts here a lot because I live in rurally. And I've used it 3 times in the year and a half that I had it for blackouts. Gets my internet, gets everything running. So think about that. Keep that thought. And then I've seen other people in the comments say, oh, but what if gas generators is going to let people know where you are? I agree. My generator stays inside. It's battery powered. So no worries about that. Highly recommend that kind because it's true. If there was a total emergency and you're in suburbs where there's a lot of people or the city, they're going to hear your generator and they're going to know that you're trying to keep your food cold or what have you. So just thoughts, things to keep you in thought. And remember, over in France and other parts of Europe, they handed out pamphlets, friends. They mailed pamphlets in France to the people. And then they even did these commercials warning their citizens to be prepared for at least a 72-hour emergency and potential power outage. Bam! Months later, and the power goes down. Come on, how did they all of a sudden put all that warning out and then it happened? Come on, friends. It's logical thinking. Now, luckily for them, it was pretty short-term blackout in comparison to their warning of 72 hours, or what it could have actually turned out to be. And still citizens are being warned of longer blackouts over there in Europe. So just wait until power outages hit in the months of July and August at the height of the summer heat. In many areas where blackouts are going to hit, many blackouts will hit in July. And remember the Mountain Dew symbolism? Just thought I'd mention it. I'm not going to go through it again. It's one of my past episodes. But I did a whole segment on it. It was just a sudden thought that I had. Because one of them was called Baja Midnight. And then Pitch Black was the other one. Okay. You look into that if you didn't see my segment. Look into that. So, future blackouts, predictions, future prediction addiction. I see blackouts, major blackouts, occurring here on the west coast of the United States from California to Washington State. I also feel some type of an accident or incident, perhaps weather or earthquake related, is going to impact a power plant, taking it offline completely. I see blackouts and outages hitting Chicago, parts of New York, and upstate New York near Niagara Falls, outages around New Jersey and Jersey City, and in parts of Pennsylvania. I see major outages hitting both Japan and China, outages in Taiwan that will be caused by sabotage, a massive outage hitting parts of India, likely around the same time of China's outages, and that could be related to the sun's activity, Schumann resonance. That feels more Earth-related to me. Hitting India and China, they're right next to each other. And I strongly feel that throughout Europe, y'all and all our friends over there in Europe must be prepared for long-term summer outages. Once again, I will point to July, which will be the most intense month of 2025, followed by the month of November. 2 big times. I picked 3 months out of the year in my forecast, yearly forecast. It'll be the most intense. I said March, I said July, and November. And you remember what March was like. It was super intense. Hold on tight. July is going to be fiery, friends. Super fiery. And the thought just came to my mind. July is also Cancer and water. So that would make sense to the tsunamis hitting in July. Even though I feel like there may be one coming in the near future. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, Spirit shows me a vision of folks literally really cold gathering. Oh, wait, I missed one. My apologies. I feel there's some type of major communication and internet cables that are about to be severed from reaching what feels to me like an island. And I cannot help but to feel that that is likely connected to Taiwan. Spirit shows me a vision of folks really cold gathering in a dark space around wood stoves and some by fireplaces to keep warm. Again, I feel I'm somewhere in Europe when outages force people to depend on wood and coal stoves for heat and to warm or cook their food. This feels like at least a week-long ordeal. So friends, as Spirit recommends, be prepared and not scared. And obviously this would be in the winter months. Might not even be this year. It might even be February, January. And it might even be, I don't know, some things play out. Again, I started getting these major blackout messages from Spirit coming several years ago. Now it's all happening. So friends, again, as Spirit recommends, be prepared and not scared. Be sure that you have other methods of cooking your food, whether it's propane, charcoal, grill, whatever. Have something. Candles, flashlights, and whatever you may possibly need in case you fall into a predicament where there's a long-term outage. And going out, you're not going to be able to go out and get anything. Grocery stores are on the grid. Some of them have battery backup, but that's only going to last for a little while if it's a long-term blackout. So again, friends, don't be scared. Be prepared. Banking and the economy, speaking of outages, Spirit did warn about banking outages and recommended that we keep cash on hand for emergencies. Cash on hand for, long-term outages. Just have it on hand because, you're not going to be able to use your digital card. And some stores, especially in cities like little mom and pop stores especially, they'll put candles in their store and they'll sell you stuff for cash. Some stores will do that. Some won't. And again, if you don't have gas in your vehicle, you're not going to be able to gas up your vehicle because gas pumps run on electricity. Just FYI. That's another thing. I wanted to get a big 5-gallon gas can. I have to remember to do that. Fill it up and put it in my shed just as backup, just in case. And I never let my car tank go below a half tank. As soon as it gets to a half, I fill her up. And I have a full tank now. Highly recommend it. Mainly not just for emergencies, but when your gas tank gets low, it sucks up all the stuff from the bottom of your thing and it screws up your filters and all. So keep your gas tank full at all times. It's a good recommendation. So now, speaking again of outages and keeping cash on hand, last week, while parts of Europe went into darkness, here in the United States, New York to be exact, Citibank, huge banking corporation there, reported massive outages causing panic as their folks became unable to access their accounts or any of their funds. What's going on out there, friends? Should we be concerned? Of course we should. Of course we should. As we all feel, I know you feel it, huge things are shifting all around us. Not even just all around us. Huge things are shifting right within us as well. It really is. I know you might not think it, but it is kind of an amazing time to be here to witness these amazing things and even more amazing things that are coming, especially when humanity shifts completely. That'll be amazing. Can't wait. Now, in China, folks are gathering in major protest all over the streets, mainly over unpaid wages. Some of these folks in China haven't been paid since January. There's shutdowns of factories and small businesses, and soon China is going to become as desperate as they have been already aggressive, according to the spirits. China had warships off the coast of Sydney, Australia. Hello, friends in Australia. Good day, mate. I just watched this Australian television series. What was it called? Black Snow. Good stuff. I like a good mystery, detective kind of mystery. Love that stuff. I wanted to be originally a homicide detective. Little news about that. About me. I was actually out in high school, senior year, and right out of high school, a police cadet. And the police cadet program, because I wanted to be a homicide detective. Then I learned you had to be a cop for decades before you make detective, and I didn't want to be a cop. I wanted to be a detective. And I didn't want to be the police officer. Anyway, back to China. China had warships off the coast of Sydney, Australia. They conducted drills, and I was going to show you the video clips, but it's all right. Our friends in Australia know about it. They mentioned it in the comments, and people should know about what happened in Alaska. And Alaska's airspace with Russia and China doing drills, and Canada and United States coming in to protect our lands. And they continue to show this fierce, their force, China, around Taiwan, doing all these massive drills and all off the coast of Taiwan and the Philippines both. And soon I see that there's going to be some type of a military exchange happening over the waters between ships. Likely this is going to be in the China Sea. And we shall see. Now, some are predicting the economy is soon going to rebound. Sorry, I don't get that feeling at all. I do not get that vibe. Sorry to be disappointing. This is why Spirit's been telling us for years to buy precious metals and to prepare prayer. And look at where we are. I'm glad I bought some. I'm glad I took the advice from the spirits this time. But I don't feel like it's going to get any better anytime soon. It's going to get much, much worse before it gets better. It's just the way things are. Building has to come down completely and be cleared before we can build a new one. It's the same thing. The collapsing of old structures, which the globalists, of course, plan to initiate on their own terms. They want to, push their little button, turn everything off, and then hit their little digital reset button. The best way that, in their minds, to do so would be to take the whole system down. You heard Klaus Schwab warn, no, the biggest threat to humanity is a massive cyber attack. They tell us exactly what they're going to do. Just go to their website. It's right on their website. You will own nothing and be happy. And they would have to do this before, they would have to collapse the old system, turn everything down before they could be able to push, their new digital control buttons. Now, I said in the past that I feel Bitcoin is going to take a huge, huge dive. When is the actual question, though? I feel likely towards the final quarter of this year, maybe even early into 2026. But everything, I still feel it. I checked in with the spirits. I still get that strong feeling. And Spirit tells us as advice, especially if you are an owner of Bitcoin. I was looking at my Bitcoin. I made a little bit off of it, and I'm really considering just pulling it all out, holding on to it. When XRP drops, I'll put more into XRP. But the globalist Spirit tells us to watch very closely for the globalists invested in Bitcoin when they first begin cashing out their Bitcoin. Now, I don't know how you would watch that, but when you see people starting to cash out Bitcoin, get out quick because everything is going to fall. Ups and down roller coaster rides is how Spirit put it to us in the 2025 forecast and predictions. So remember, friends, hold on to physical things, physical assets, precious metal, real estate properties, especially in rural areas away from the cities. If you have property in the city, you probably want to get rid of it. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. Rural properties are going to become worth more money. More people are going to want to move away from all that. And of course, anything that you need to survive a national, global emergency. As long as you do that, again, nothing to worry about. You're prepared. That's important. Tariffs and empty shelves. Empty shelves, friends, because shelves are already beginning to go empty here in the United States. And folks are still not really quite aware of the massive amount of goods that are no longer flowing into our ports. Ports are very, very quiet, extremely quiet, little to no activity. And most of the activity that's coming in is like oil freight, boats or whatever. And not only that, freight, what else did I notice? Ones that are carrying like big loads, like rubble or rocks or what have you. Like, big stuff for building stuff or what have you. So, no food. It's not the stuff we need. And, at least none of the junk's coming in anymore. But we still need that food and other things to come in, and they're just not coming in. Everything is so quiet. More folks are struggling, and now Spirit's warning us to be stocked up. That whole warning is so more plausible now than ever. Spirit's been warning since 2020, actually. The beginning of 2020. Then we had what happened, of course, with the outbreak. And then after that, Spirit said continue to keep stocking up. And then we saw what happened with eggs and everything else. That's an attack on eggs. We know that. They're purposely doing that because of what they discovered with egg yolks and how they can help us heal from certain bugs like that of the 2021. So stocking up is really plausible. Now, how long is this going to last? And is this tariffs going to change? Well, again, the old systems have to collapse, friends. So that new, better systems will go into place eventually. Now, Trump is shaking the heck out of the trade industry. He is the earthquake to the trade industry, and soon the tsunami as well. And eventually there's going to be new agreements that will be made eventually. And I see it's going to be a while. It's going to be a struggle for probably the next 2 years, but it will get better. And I do see agreements being made and things being shuffled in the trade industry, but at the same time, Spirit continues to keep showing me empty shelves. Not just for Americans, though. Many other countries as well. Something much bigger is coming down the pipe that's going to disrupt trade even more so than just trade conflicts and tariffs. I feel this could possibly be connected to two logical reasons. First, some type of conflict on the waters that temporarily block trade routes. The other is the coming rift that I've been predicting since 2023 beneath the Pacific Ocean. And that came first in my October 2023 channeled predictions when I first started seeing the visions of the big waves coming towards Japan and that area of the globe. And the big rift and the big shooting of something out of the waters, likely a volcanic eruption of some sort underneath the waters. So land rising up from the oceans, just so much. So that could be a big part of it. That could end up, of course, disrupting trade routes in some way or another and cause a little bit of a pause to that. Not only that, I just feel like, beneath the ocean, something beneath the ocean causes these massive tsunami waves that end up putting the entire planet on pause because likely we're all in states of shock over the craziness of this coming incident. So let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think it could be related to? One of those two? Something else? And remember, if there's something you really, really, really need that you can't live without, it's likely made in China, friends. So you better get out and you better get it now while the getting is still good. Moving on now to the fall of Hollywood, the P-Diddy case, and the trial of the century, friends. The trial of the century. Remember, Spirit told us that people would be glued to their televisions? This was a few years ago, too, when we were also shown arrests and arrest of celebrities, and all that was in the predictions. And now here we are. Sean Combs is about to go on trial, friends. But Spirit says so much more truth. So much more. Much darker. Much more disturbing is going to come into the light in coming months. Some relate it to this case and others being new arrests and new truths that are going to be revealed. Big, big truths. It's going to be wild. Now, will Combs be sentenced to prison? He certainly should be. So should have been O.J. Simpson, but he wasn't. He got off free. This is likely the case again that I predicted that people a few years ago would be glued to their television sets to see what's going to happen. And I know I'm going to be watching and listening if they allow us to do so. I don't know if they're going to allow cameras in the courtroom or not. And there's something Spirit says that's way bigger, that is about to break coming out of both Hollywood and Hollywood celebrities, and also affiliated with several politicians. And I see more arrests coming. Some are going to be quite shocking as folks are not going to want to believe the truth. You know that. They say the truth will set you free, but not before it pisses off a whole hell of a lot of people, friends. Like really big time it's going to. And, I pulled some cards for P-Diddy, and the first thing that came up was interesting enough was the High Priestess, which I took as a sign that we were going to penetrate a lot of new avenues because, the High Priestess is all about penetrating, educating. She's all about the education system and wisdom, and I feel like this is going to bring all of that to us. Not to him, but to us. All this wisdom, all this knowledge, and finally, the things that have been hidden will be revealed. I also picked, what was it? The Strength card. reversed, which makes me feel like likely he's going to have some type of, we'll probably see some outbursts in the courtroom, big outbursts, probably him not being able to hold back, which will just make it worse for him. Also, I see a point where he gets really sick. He probably already is really sick. I forgot to look at when his birthday is. I think he's in his 6. When is Sean Combs' birthday? Oh, come on. What are you doing? No, I didn't want to take a picture. When is Sean Combs' birthday? Sean Combs was born. Oh, he's one of them bad Scorpios. Are you a good Scorpio or a bad Scorpio? I know a lot of good Scorpios, by the way. A lot. My BF, one of my besties who passed away, Susie, was a great, amazing Scorpio. So he's a Scorpio. He's in his 6th year, which can actually have to do with court cases and things like that. Interesting. I was just curious when his birthday was and what his sign was. Another thing that came up is I saw him potentially having some kind of issues with his walking, maybe hurting his leg, or maybe he's getting a beat down behind the prison walls. He also, I pulled for him the 5 of Swords, and the 5 of Swords shows that he's going to have some people from the past rising up. Some people from the past, and a lot of destruction is going to be caused to him from other people. Which, of course, there's somebody probably above him. Just like there was somebody above Jeffrey. That dude that I still swear is still alive. Just a feeling. Just a gut feeling. So, yeah, he's going to have people rising up from the past, and they're going to degrade him. And also, the five of Swords is all about defeat. It's all about being defeated. So is the 5 of Coins as well. It shows that he's going to have major problems when it comes to finances and his financial situation. It's also the 5 of Coins and the 5 of Swords together indicate a big defeat, a big, big loss. Big loss. And it's interesting because the Moon card comes up, which was the Moon, of course, brings up water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Interesting enough, he is a Scorpio. But it's also all about deception. The Moon is about deception, dishonesty, falseness, false friends. So he thinks people are friends until they step into that courtroom. That's probably when he's going to have his anger outburst. There'll be more arrests from this case, according to Spirit, from this case. And it shows, he needs to basically repent for his sins. And if he does so, he'll get off a little lighter. But if he resists and doesn't repent for his sins, bye-bye, Combs. You're not going to make it through this one. And once you are sentenced, I give you 2 years or less before we hear about him being taken out completely. So interesting enough. So much more coming, friends. So much more corruption. Remember my visions of mass arrests, celebrities, politicians. It's happening. But it's going to happen on a major scale, especially when this case starts. And it's going to unleash other things in Hollywood. And I see things around, what was that guy's name? Harvey Weinstein, Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, that whole circle of evil right there. Hallelujah. Can't wait, man. It's going to be fun. Going to be fun. I love some good truth drama, don't you? And in other news, we have... Did you know that the president of the United States is now giving military gear to police departments? Remember who did that last? Obama. Remember Obama militarized our police department? Well, now Trump's doing the same thing. Sending them all kinds of military gear. Why do the police need military gear? In places like Australia, do your police carry guns in Australia? I don't remember, but I know like in different parts of Europe, they don't even carry guns. Interesting. So why is Trump sending militarized, even more militarizing our police? Well, so that they can take control when things go haywire. That's why when martial law is called, because it will be called. It's even in those illuminated cards that I showed you. It's coming here in the United States. And I predicted martial laws happening. And when I did earlier this year, soon after, within weeks after, we saw martial law being declared in South Korea. I see martial law happening in parts of Europe, more likely France, between France and the United Kingdom. I don't know what that's about. And that may be the latter part of the year. But that just came to me. Also, speaking of the president, did you see the tweet that he put out making himself look like a pope? Now, you all know I am a recovering Catholic. I have meetings every Wednesday if you want to attend. And you know how I feel about the Vatican's evil, because it is evil. Deep, dark, that, if you were the devil, what would you infiltrate first? The Vatican, of course. Of course you would. Remember my vision of the big demon breaking out of the walls of the Vatican? So you know my stance on the Vatican. But also my stance on this AI-generated DT as Pope. I'm sorry, that's disgusting. You're disgusting for doing that. Like, who do you think you are? Like, how dare you do that to a church? And again, I'm not about the church. I'm also not about insulting them in that way. I would take that as an insult if I was the church. It's a little crazy. Little cray-cray. Like, get over your narcissistic self already, please. Speaking of narcissistic, DARPA's probably got a whole bunch of narcissistic people. I love Robert Kennedy still. I don't care what anybody says. You can't change my mind right now on that. I could change, but right now you still can't change my mind on that. And Robert Kennedy, did you see him on Dr. Phil? I started to watch it, but I didn't have time because, again, I was sick all week with food poisoning, and it was just awful. And I just laid on the couch watching movies. That's all I could do. It was pretty bad. So I didn't finish watching it, but I saw the clip, which I should have prepared for you. But you can go just look up Dr. Phil and Robert Kennedy, and you can watch the interview. And the girl gets up at the end and asks him about stratospheric aerosol injections, which we talk about many times. I showed you the patents. I showed you the former CIA head talking about it on C-SPAN. And people still say it's a conspiracy. And when Robert Kennedy was asked about it, he's like, it's not from our organization, whatever he's running. He's like, I looked, it's not us, and we're trying to figure it out, but pretty much assuming that DARPA is responsible for it. Do you know about DARPA? DARPA is like the Frankenstein company, like corporation that create things like killer bots and killer this and that, and they're just really sick, demented, probably ran by a bunch of lizard people. And apparently they're putting this toxic stuff into the jet fuel now. So jets are putting this stuff out on us. I thought that was really interesting. I wanted to know what you thought about that. And the comments down below. I thought there was other news. Oh, there is other news. We got to talk about, what else? Darn. Let me look if I have notes. I feel like I'm missing something. I got a bunch of predictions here for you as well. Did you see that person by the name of, what they call him, Damian Allen, who was allegedly planning a mass, killing spree? Mass planned. Supposedly broken by the CIA. I think I actually have the article here somewhere. Where is it? Nope, that's not it. That's not it. All right, I could have sworn I had it here. Oh, there it is. It was in Palm Beach, Florida. 22-year-old caught with weapons and uniforms. Damian Allen, not Alien. Damon Allen. That's a shame. Young kid like that. Was he under some type of manipulation? Because they uncovered a mass pow plot. Seizing 18 firearms, hundreds of pounds of ammunition. Do you know how much money that costs? Hundreds of pounds of ammunition? A 22-year-old kid cannot afford that, including 18 firearms and law enforcement and military uniforms. Uniforms, it's plural, friends. Plural. Law enforcement military uniforms. That should be very concerning, especially if you are an American. Extremely concerning. Why is this 22-year-old kid having multiple law enforcement and military uniforms and he's the only one caught? If you have multiple, that means there's multiple people involved in this. Authorities say they took action and averted this planned attack. I don't think they really did. I think they just averted the one person that had all the stuff that was less than smart enough to get caught, and thank the Lord he did. Deputies uncovered a detailed plan to carry out a mass pow-pow event and averted it. took him into custody on Sunday after his home was searched, where authorities found 18 firearms, including weapons that seemed to be automatic, over 300 pounds of ammunition, and some PBSO, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office deputy uniforms, and Marine Corps dress, an FBI uniform, an Army Ranger outfit, a ballistic vest, several helmets, fake federal and military ID badges. A 22-year-old kid can't get a hold of all that stuff. I'm sorry. Sounds like this is one of those three-letter you-know-what things going on here. No doubt. I want to know what you think in the comments down below because it's just a little disturbing. There's no way a 22-year-old kid could get all that stuff. No. And he doesn't appear to be a little rich kid. And even if he was, still. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars right there. Just in 300 pounds of ammo and 18 massive weapons. Tens of thousands of dollars. So I thought that was interesting and always holding the light that, cray people like that get caught. But I still feel like he was being manipulated in some way or somehow. MK Ultra? I don't know. But, things are happening. Now, are you feeling this ascension symptoms lately? Just wanted to point that out. I did a video on it about a year or two ago called The 11 Signs of Ascension Sickness. I will leave a link above. Now, also, did you see that woman? I can't remember her name. And what show was she on? She was on Sean Ryan before. But I don't know if she was on Tucker talking about this, but just recently, you've seen the video go viral. A woman, she used to work for the Bush administration. She's talking about the trillions of dollars that have been spent to build 100 and some underground cities beneath us. I did a whole video on that, friends. I told you they have a high-speed railway system right beneath our feet. That's for the globalists. They have big mansions built within the earth beneath us, all connecting each other. So I guess the lizards can go down into the earth and leave us up here to deal. Crazy. Our money. They did that with our money. And if they did that in the United States, I guarantee you, friends, it's in your country too. Guarantee you. I just thought that was a little disturbing. Did you also see there? Now we see what's happening in Israel and such. Now Israel's, taking over Gaza again. Just unbelievable. We saw all these explosions happening all over Iran, especially their port that caused over $3 billion worth of damage. Apparently people were arrested in that. We have these big wildfires that broke out in Israel, of course, being blamed on some type of fear attacks, which would be logical, actually. Would be totally logical. It's a conflict. So they're going to go back and forth with each other. And it's just going to get really, really not good, friends. Just like India and Pakistan, not good. Let's look at some predictions to end off today's show. Starting with, again, some of this relates to a past prediction, but over the next couple of weeks and in this month of May, we're going to see an increase in water-related incidents and accidents, which is interesting. I wrote this yesterday, and this morning I saw a story, or was it last night, about this boat. I think it was in California that, wave flipped it over. People were rescued. Oh, well, there you go. Starting already. Water-related incidents, accidents, boating accidents, ship accidents. There was another one actually in Florida where the rich people boat started to sink. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of that coming up this month and in the coming months. Water-related incidents and accidents. This is going to be rogue waves, tsunami waves, stuff like that. Another thing is I see voter fraud being discovered and cover-ups being uncovered. Big time. Not just the United States, but globally, all over the place. This is a part of the collapsing of the systems. Can't have fairness when everything's rigged. And everything is rigged. I feel, as I stated in the past, that soon the new Madrid fault line is going to rumble, causing some type of a catastrophic quake in the southern states. Now, I don't have a timeline on this, but I did state this in the past. And being it came up again today or last night when I was writing and taking notes, if you're new here, when things come up again, it's usually indicating that we are approaching this prediction coming into fruition. I hope not, but it's likely the case. And just to re-elaborate on what I said in the past about this rift. I saw two rifts. I saw one beneath the Indian Ocean on the other side of Indonesia, right below India, which we see what happened in Myanmar. That was right where I pointed to in my weather prediction forecast on the map, because I looked at the map and pointed to areas where things were going to happen. So that rift is already happening on a small level, but it's happening on land, but really it's happening beneath the sea. So a big rift in the Indian Ocean, but also the one in the Pacific Ocean, which I think I have no doubt is going to go first. When that Pacific Ocean rift happens beneath the ocean and sends, ash and water way up into the skies, that's going to activate the west coast of the United States, the fault line off the coast of Oregon and California and Washington. It's going to be like a ripple effect. So be prepared, not scared. Now, I see dams. Oh, damn, baby. Being targeted. Water dams, dams that make electricity, those kind of dams. And I believe this is actually in India. Now, remember my previous vision. This was a week or two ago. Maybe my May forecast. I don't recall. But I had a vision. Maybe it was a channeled prediction video I did actually last week or 2 weeks ago. Go back and watch that. It was the most popular video of the month, last month, April. Yeah, it was that where I had a vision in my channel predictions where I saw these boats going into the bottom of the dam and setting explosives along the dam. Now, I thought maybe that was here in the United States, but now we see what's happening between India and Pakistan. In Pakistan, they cut off some of their water. They can't cut off all the water because otherwise it would flood their own regions. That would be less than smart decision. But they cut off some of it, and it's still going to have a major effect. There's a lot of people in Pakistan, and they need that water. It's the desert. And if little water is just going to dry things up even quicker. So I'm thinking that the dam that I saw in my channel predictions is likely connected to India and Pakistan. But again, separately, I saw dams being targeted. So, according to Spirit. Now, it just would be common sense that it could be India because they're having this little water conflict right now. It could also have to do with other places as well. Now, I see shipping boxes. This was a little weird and disturbing. And these shipping boxes were packed with either explosives or something toxic within them. Reminded me of the postal scare that happened years ago when they were mailing, what the heck was the name of that powdered chemical that they were mailing to politicians through the U.S. mail. This is like decades ago. Kind of reminded me of that, but these were boxes being packed with something, either explosive, something toxic, maybe a combination of both. I felt like that was happening in multiple places, meaning multiple countries. But it felt like it hit home to me. So not just because I thought of what happened, not cyanide. Oh, what's the name of that stuff? I'm sure someone will say it in the comments. It's not important anyway. What's important is we hold in the light that if that does occur, that they apprehend these packages before any harm's done to anybody in the process. Now, I see some type of frenzy happening at a Walmart store. And this included a nearby Costco as well. And it felt to me like it was being raided by hoodlums trying to make off with free merchandise and totally trashing the stores in process. So this is somehow has to be, I would believe, in relation to some other type of riots breaking out. But in my head, it was like I was watching a video. Sometimes it's like I'm watching a video, which would mean that there will be video of this when it happens. I don't know where, somewhere here in the United States. I don't think they have Walmart and Costco other places together. Maybe they do, I don't know. I see a massive vehicle pileup happening involving at least 100 vehicles and multiple casualties due to a sudden thick fog that overtakes the highway. I feel this is in the United States, in the southern states of the United States, and coming up in the very near future. So be safe on those highways, friends. Don't need no road ragers either. Now, as hard as this one may be to say, I got this strong feeling last night, right before bed actually, that I had to pull out my phone and put it in my notes. And I must say that I got to tell you the way it's shown to me and the way I feel. And I feel that there are 3 huge conflicts that are about to break out in the near future between now and late July, early August. One is likely going to be India and Pakistan. The second is likely going to be a massive conflict in the Middle East involving Iran and, of course, Israel. This feels huge. I see large explosions and so many missiles being fired that it reminded me of the what they showed us here on the telly back during the Iraq conflict, when the United States started to invade Iraq and just all the things. It was just crazy. That's what it reminded me of. Reminded me of that big time. And then the other one could be maybe Taiwan and China, maybe. I don't know. But 3 big conflicts. Now, this coming weekend, likely the full moon influence, I feel something huge is breaking out. Something huge is coming this weekend, breaking out in the realms of conflict when it comes to conflict amongst nations. So one of these 3 big conflicts may actually start this coming weekend. And again, I point likely to Pakistan and India, or Iran and Israel. One of those two. And that could break out this weekend or some other new conflict. And I expect we're going to hear also in this coming weekend of some type of a major pow event this coming weekend. And perhaps on top of that, another vehicle being used as a senseless weapon. So friends, when you're out and about, just be mindful. Don't let all this stuff happening with airplanes deter you from traveling. Just be smart. And look at travel. I wouldn't travel in July. I'm going to Peru and purposely avoided July to go to Peru. Because I will not travel during Mercury retrograde because it's just setting yourself up for stress. Especially July. Just stay put in July. And, unless you're on lower grounds and you're on the South Pacific, you might want to go to higher ground, take a little vacation in the mountains. That'd be a good idea in July, especially the first 2 weeks of July. Told a friend that in Japan. Get to higher ground. Just be safe. If it doesn't happen, great. Then go back home and be happy. That's the way to be. And that's what I'm going to leave you with for today. Now, usually I do 2 videos a week, but being I've been sick, I didn't work on anything over the weekend. So likely I'll put out 3 videos next week, but maybe I'll get something done by the end of this week. I got a couple things on mine, and I'm going to be doing some more channeled meditations over the weekend. Putting that together, something to look forward to. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time, baby. And if you did, please do show your love and hit that thumbs up love button so that we can get this out, help our tribe to grow even bigger. And if you have just subscribed to the channel, welcome to the tribe, baby. We welcome you with open arms, and a big thank you to all the contributors to this channel. And those that are members of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community and the community on YouTube, thank you for helping make this free content possible for everybody else. I appreciate you with infinite love and gratitude. And until the next time, friends, remember, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly, friends, ever so brightly. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste and much love, friends. Much love.